Okay, welcome to the Crow Discovery Project. Sorry I've been gone so long. We have had endless overcast days, but the sun does appear to be back now. This is going to be an interesting clip because I was getting an illusory second sun for the longest time, and no matter what I did, I was having trouble determining if it was the lens that was doing it, and I finally managed to prove that with the moon. I also have a jet that strafed us at less than 1,000 feet in my backyard, maybe 4, maybe even 5 times today, and I was shooting them with a telephoto. That's at the end of this clip. So here's the sun maybe a week and a half ago, something like that. Now what you're going to see here is I saw the sun doubled at one point, and this is what I saw, but it was much further away. Just keep your eye on the center screen. This came in, and the first time I saw it, I thought, well, heck, this has to be the lens. Well, when I saw it again this time, this duplication, this kind of reflection of the sun was much closer to the sun that was now out of frame. And so what I did is I took a 1-foot long tube and put it over the end of the solar scope so that no, oblique light could come in, but it didn't make it go away. So I was getting confused. What was I seeing? What could this be? So what I finally ended up doing was one night we were out shooting the moon, and I took the double stack off the scope and looked through the double stack with my eye and determined that it is actually the double stack that goes on the end of a solar scope that has the ability to do this kind of sun reflection look. And it's very confusing because when you have a 1-foot tube on the end, you wouldn't expect that you would get that kind of reflection in the lens system, but in fact that's what it was. And I know a lot of people were waiting to hear the outcome of this because I posted some time ago that I had seen this and I needed to do tests to try to figure out what was going on. I was almost certain it was a reflection of the sun, but I didn't know what I was looking at, and when I did the initial tests it was very confusing because you would expect this would be like lens flaring of a kind, but with a 1-foot tube on the end of the scope you should get 0 lens flaring. But that's just not the case with the double stack, which is now proved. Anyhow, we're going to take some looks at the sun here. We're going to start by looking at surface detail. Let this clip run out real quick. I'm going to spin back over to the real sun here. Get rid of the illusion. And here is the real sun. And as you can see, the interesting prominence is on the bottom. This focus is a mix between surface and prominence detail. Now what I've done here is shifted the double stack over and refocused to show surface detail, and as you can see, for quite some time now there just has not been a lot of surface detail on the sun. I would say 6 months ago when we were looking at the sun there was a lot more to look at on the surface of the sun. So we'll roll through a few views of the surface, and then we're going to take a very good look at the prominence and refocus the scope. And this will be the final view of the surface detail, and there is the prominence, what a prominence looks like when you're focused for surface detail. So you're going to see the settings on the scope change as I refocused and set my settings so that we could get a better look at prominence. And when you do this, surface detail goes away. As you can see, surface detail is much washed out now, but you can see a prominence up at about the 9 o'clock position and down around 5. What was interesting is if you do this over a few hours and you can see the prominence moving around the disk, you can also see it changing shape. So if you pay attention to the next clips that come where that prominence in the lower right is up around the 3 o'clock position, you'll see that it has changed in that time, which is, I don't know, maybe hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. But in terms of shooting the sun recently, it has just been very, frankly, boring. Just not that much going on for the most part that I can see with my scope. I mean, if I had better equipment, it would always be very interesting to see. But with what I have, it's been very limited views. And actually, this is a pretty good prominence that I've been able to pick up recently. So we're going to take one more view of the sun here and get a great look at that lower right prominence. And then we're going to look at that crazy jet that decided to break every rule in the flight book. So there I'm doing a light blocking technique, and you'll see it refocus a little bit, and you can kind of see all the detail in that prominence. So here is this crazy jet. We're out here, and some of these, you got to realize I had a telephoto, did not have time to change anything, and the telephoto had a doubler. So it was the wrong setup to have for a jet that was under 1,000 feet going Lord knows how fast trying to manually refocus. What was crazy about this is he circled us at this altitude. I could have hit him with a rock maybe 4, maybe 5 times, and there appeared to be no numbers on this thing. And it was so loud that I was surprised everyone wasn't calling 911 thinking, you know, some bogus terrorist attack was happening. But if anyone out there is a plane buff, I'd be interested to know what kind of a jet this is, if anyone can tell just by looking. But as you can see, I cannot detect any tail numbers on the good images that aren't like this, or any numbers underneath. Now right there shows you how low he was flying. I'm shooting under the phone wires and barely over the bushes. Definitely under 1,000 feet as he was doing this. And again, with the doubler on, it was the wrong setup. I probably could have handled it with just the telephoto, but with 1600 millimeters of lens, I just was not set up for quick manual focus. That's a pretty good image. Crazy thing is, we have noticed that the San Diego International Airport traffic has just plummeted. It's like there are no planes coming by us anymore. And it used to be when we were out filming doing our thing, every few minutes a plane would come or go or both. And what we're seeing now is a couple planes a day come in the flight paths that we are sitting in the middle of. I have no idea what's going on. But this was crazy, and in a minute you're going to see a long shot where I think he realized he was being filmed or something, because he eventually went out of my focus and then went down towards the naval base in San Diego, 32nd Street Naval Base, which is quite a ways away from us, but it looked like he was headed that direction. And we'll get by these ones where I was trying to shoot through the bushes to get a shot of him. It was just, I just wish I would have had my smaller lens on. So there it is there, where I'm far enough away that I could easily focus, because he wasn't going 200 miles an hour straight at me at less than 1,000 feet. But anyhow, crazy thing, I've never seen anything like this. I'm just very surprised. He was almost low enough to set off car alarms. It was that loud. If anyone knows what kind of plane this was or why it's flying around with no identification numbers, I'd be interested to hear about it. Anyhow, I did an interview this morning. It'll go up, and tomorrow I am interviewing with Greg Carlwood on THC again, and that will be coming shortly, and I'll be back in the game now. Cheers.